What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the DT show. I'm Daniel, and today we're going back into the Bryan Kohberger case. We're going to be discussing some new video that has been dropped. Nerdy Addict had dropped a tweet earlier today referencing some, some video from the DMV when Bryan Kohberger went to go change out his license plates days after the quadruple homicide. And I haven't seen it all. I caught like maybe a couple of seconds of it. I just wanted to make sure that there was some audio and stuff. So I'm going to react to this with you guys. I don't know all that's going to be coming in. I don't know everything now. I can kind of, somewhat predict what we should expect to see in this. I'm expecting, if I remember correctly, according to the documents, the clerk mentions that Bryan Kohberger was charming. Bryan Kohberger was giddy. He was very conversant with her, and when the topic of the homicide had come up, he had mentioned something to the effect that horrific, isn't it, or something of that nature. So that's what I remember from this. And so we're gonna watch this. There's two versions of it. I'm gonna play part of both, and then we'll see which one is the better one. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. You guys know what to do. Without further ado, let's break it down. Let's look at this video of Bryan Kohberger entering the DMV. This is November 18th. So let's watch this.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
You know what? Let me make sure that the audio is boosted. Okay, we got that, and all right, we're good to go.
I need to get my license plate changed.
Okay. We should be able to help with that.
Let's rewind that a little bit.
How's it going?
Pretty good.
So here he comes in. What is he wearing? He's wearing dark clothing, a jacket. He's wearing some black gloves. This is November in Idaho, so it's cold. I don't necessarily think that can be construed as nefarious. I know, the thought process is automatically is he trying to prevent his DNA from being picked up? At this point where Bryan Kohberger is in the search for him, I think he might be a little bit comfortable thinking that he may have gotten away with it at this point. This is before the Bolo comes out. This is before, much of the information. And in fact, this is shortly after I believe it was the mayor who had done a press conference and had mentioned that he had believed that this was a crime of passion, so to speak. And Bryan Kohberger had informed, I think it was a neighbor, that he believed that this was a crime of passion. So during this time, he's probably, I don't want to say comfortable, but I think he's probably maybe a little bit concerned, a little bit paranoid, but I don't think it's hit in like it did towards the end. And, a couple of bits of, evidence of that is throughout this process, he's looking for another knife. He stops doing that. His searches stop after the Bolo comes out, which is surprise, surprise, right? So a lot of people think maybe perhaps he was trying to get the knife because he was going to replace it. Well, if that was the case, you would have thought that the searches for the K-bar knife and the knife sheath would have amplified after the Bolo, but they don't. In fact, what starts to happen after the Bolo, he starts searching, other serial offenders who have committed heinous crimes, but he also starts searching paranoia, starts searching, paranoia and serial or in psychopaths and things of that nature. In my opinion, that was a reflection of what his mindset was. So K-bar knife is not being searched anymore. My opinion, it's just my opinion. I think he had other targets. We know he had pictures of other students. Some of them were people and students and faculty of WSU. Some of them were friends and students of Idaho, University of Idaho, and friends of the victims. So, you kind of put those pieces together, and in my opinion, I think it paints a pretty picture. Now, right here, and I don't know if you guys can see, but that's his vehicle right here in the bottom square. You know, one thing I just kind of noticed, and let me rewind and let me pull up the other video that we have here. So that's the video. And so this is that smaller square, bigger.
November 18th, November 18th. In Washington, D.C. I just want to mention
So let me
play
play it. I believe this is his car. Let me see if he gets out of this car.
Actually, the nice about these is they're interchangeable between cars or trucks. Okay, so this is the 60-day temp. This is your registration right here for the 60-day temp. This is your window on the back window on the driver's side. This is your registration. So that
maybe that isn't his car. I assumed it looked like it. Maybe it isn't.
Now, the Cougar plates are flat orange where they like.
This is November 18th, guys. November 18th. I'm going to mute it until we see him because it's kind of just a lot of talking there. But this is November 18th, 2022. About a week, about 5 days after the homicides. Where does he come in? Oh, yeah, he was just sitting in there that entire time watching. What do you guys think about that? So the car hadn't moved for a minute. He's parked up front watching. Now he's about to walk in. He's about to walk in at this point. Now maybe he's checking his phone. Maybe he's checking a bunch of things. It could be completely, nothing nefarious at all. Or he could have just kind of, I don't know, watched was looking at the young lady behind the counter through the glass. I don't know. Just sitting there watching. I mean, over a minute from the start of this video before he gets out of the vehicle. And who knows how long he's parked there. But you know what I notice? Not just the fact that the vehicle is missing a front license plate, but in the photos, Bryan Kohberger's photos of his vehicle that were released, he had a wind diffuser on the hood. In my opinion, he was trying to make his vehicle seem unique and separate itself from the vehicle that was seen on camera the night of the homicides. And he doesn't get that. We don't have a purchase yet, but I would bet a lot of money that purchase of that wind diffuser happens after December 7th, 2022. And that's when the Bolo came out. So he was texting his mother. There's a good chance that he was texting his mother, Mama. I don't think that's an improbability. Let's see what he says and how this goes.
On this one, for the Volkswagen. Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
The other thing I notice is it's a little weird.
They've been so goofy on the inventory. If for any reason you get close to January 15th and you need another tip, just let me know. I'll be in on Australia. Okay, that's for you. Okay.
He walks very, his toes pointed out.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. I definitely need to get my license plate changed.
And he's walking kind of funny. If I remember the snow, the footprints didn't look like that. I wonder if he purposefully. I wonder if those footprints were even his. They may have been they may have been even the officers. The ones in the snow in the backyard, I don't think they were his. The way he walks, I would have assumed if he was leaving at a high rate of speed, trying to get out of there, he's not going to try to fabricate his gait on the way out. I mean, he could be thinking about that, but somebody just saw him. There was a lot of noise, a lot of commotion. He's leaving out of there at a high rate of speed. So those footprints exiting the house going towards the fence are probably not even Bryan Kohberger's. They probably they're one of the police officers from walking around the scene, and we all just assumed that it was Bryan Kohberger's. I don't think that that's his footprints. I don't think those are his footprints in the snow behind the house. And see, a lot of these Kohbergers and people think that I can't change my mind based off of experience or evidence. I can. Not saying that I think Bryan Kohberger is innocent by any means, but I don't think that the footprints that were left in the snow are his. I think that they are most likely a police officer's. They look like boots, right? And I thought that was weird. If and we don't know, but if the Vans shoes, the slip-on shoes, were utilized in the house, and then he changed out of those into boots, that never really made sense to me. And so I'm just really starting to consider that, because I saw them early on. I saw the boot prints that were in the snow. And if you guys go back years ago, this is 3 years ago now, almost, or over 3 years ago now, I had said that I thought that there was a possibility, because I'd seen the boot prints, and I had said, I think there's a possibility that this guy wore, maybe perhaps he wore military style boots, just so that he could blend in with the officers' boot prints and footprints that are on the property. So I had always initially thought that those were similar prints to boots, not necessarily Vans. The Vans actually threw me off, but now just kind of seeing his gait and the way he walks, seeing the way he's walked in court, the way he's walking in here, I don't think he's he's not faking this gait while he's walking up, like he's going to walk like a pigeon or whatever, or a duck. You get what I'm saying? So, and he was wearing boots. It's in the court. I haven't seen that. I mean, maybe perhaps that's in the court documents of when they found boots, but I don't think they've actually indicated if he was wearing. Dylan said that she heard boots, or heard what she thought was boots. And so, yeah, but she didn't see, if the guy was wearing boots. But she said it sounded like, I guess, the boots that Kaylee would wear when she goes out. But, this guy's a big dude. And the way he kind of walks and stomps, that may have been what she heard, especially if he's moving with purpose to try to catch up to Xana. But yeah, no, she didn't see the boots. She heard what she thought was Kaylee's boots that Kaylee would wear. So I know what you're talking about. But yeah, no, she didn't see him wearing it, but she heard what she thought was that. All right, let's continue this.
Okay. We should be able to help with that.
So the other thing is, he's kind of is looking around somewhat, making sure nobody's looking at him. I mean, that's kind of the sense that I got, looking around. I'm sure there is some sort of paranoia at this point.
I definitely need to get my license plate changed.
Okay. We should be able to help with that.
Do I need proof of insurance?
No, I mean, you have to have it in Washington State, but you don't have to prove it with us. I do need to know the exact miles that are on your car right now.
Let me check that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, let's see something with his left,
Hello.
with his right hand. Look at,
How's it going?
I want to see.
Pretty good. I definitely need to get my license plate changed.
Okay. We should be able to help with that.
He puts his arm in his pocket, and it just kind of seems like he keeps it in there for an extended period of time.
No, I mean, you have to have it in Washington State, but you don't have to prove it with us. I do need to know the exact miles that are on your car right now.
Let me check that.
Okay, perfect.
See, his hand is in his pocket. It's his left hand actually in his pocket. Which, if I'm correct, the left hand was the one that kind of looked swollen a little bit in that one thumbs up picture that he had, right? If he was wearing boots, he was wearing boots. I don't remember seeing it, but I do remember her saying that he heard the boots, or she heard the boots, but it's been a long time. Let's continue.
Stacy, 18.
Last night I was so tired. I was going, I'm tired, I'm pretty tired. Yes, I mean, I that'll like freak you out. No, it takes like months. Yeah, it takes a couple months, but yes, theoretically you can. Yes, I mean, I that'll like freak you out. No, it takes like months. Yeah, it takes a couple months, but yes, theoretically you can.
About 150.
Oh, okay. So you just have to write that exact mileage right here with no temps. Check the box that says actual, put today's date, and then you'll sign, print, and your street address on the bottom line there.
No.
So I understand wearing gloves because it's cold. I understand if you're going in somewhere and you're going to do something fairly quickly, you know, you're gonna wear your gloves because you're gonna go back outside. So why take them off? But if you're filling out paperwork, you know, those type of gloves, those winter gloves, aren't the best for that kind of stuff. To be flipping through papers, to be signing things, and this video is 20 minutes long. You know, I don't know if he takes his gloves off. I haven't watched it all the way through. Like I said, I saw probably up to about this point. I think I saw it to the point where he asked about a specialty license plate, something about this WSU. And she said, yeah. And then I was like, all right, you know, I can hear it. We'll watch the rest, you know, and react in real time. But, you know, he's in there. I don't recall him taking him off to that point. And if he doesn't take him off throughout the entire time, he's inside. Nobody else inside that's in there an extended period of time is wearing them. Well, maybe somebody comes in and comes out wearing them, but they're not in there 20 minutes like he is. You know, he's in there an extended period of time. He's going to end up having an extended conversation with this young lady. But go figure. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section.
Okay, so, on your platters.
The 18th.
The reason she thought that he was a fireman was because of what Bethany said she saw and heard, which was like the fireworks and those things. I'll go back and look at the documents. I've read them all a couple of times. I don't recall her saying I saw him wearing boots. I believe she said, you know, all dark clad with the hood, and only could see his eyebrows and things of that nature. But I absolutely do not recall her ever saying, I saw the perpetrator wearing boots. She talked about the Doc Martens that Kaylee, you know, wore and what she heard, but I've not heard that. Now I could be wrong. There's a lot of docs that have been dropped here recently, and I haven't been able to catch up on all those. And so maybe perhaps it's in those and one of the newer ones. But I've listened to her interviews and things, and you know, if you got it, send it to me. I'll look it up. You know, send me the timestamp of where it's at, and I'll make sure that we're accurate. Hey, I see a bunch of mods in here and members. I want to say thank you all. We got Heather, we got KDP, we got Steelers fan, we got Chloe, we got what else I see in here. Oh, and I don't know if Sirius is in here. I hope you're feeling well. I thought I saw something earlier, maybe under the weather. So I hope you're feeling good. And what's going on, FloJo TV? Good to see you, my man. Let's see. And Casey, 99% sure it says in the documents he was wearing boots. I don't know. I recall them talking about boots, and I recall them talking about Kaylee possibly wearing boots, and that's what Dylan heard. But when she described him, I don't remember her describing the footwear. I just remember the face, or the lack there of the face, the eyebrows, the balaclava mask, dark clothing, holding a cylindrical object with a bag, you know, those type of things with a sharp arrow thing pointing up. Those are the details that I remember. But like I said, maybe perhaps it's in a newer document. Hey, what's going on? Crime Scene Collective is in the house. Good to see you. Let's continue.
Should know that by now.
I know you should have probably not. Right. Oh, they said that they would release them today. They are. Okay, I don't know what that, what happened to, you know, all your people like.
Yeah, the first one right here is actual mileage, and then you have your print and your
Okay?
What do you think that's about? So, I'm sure you guys we've all been to the DMV. We've all filled out paperwork for, changing our title. It's pretty self-explanatory. She's talking to somebody else. He interrupts her and asks her a question to get her close. You think that's a bit of manipulation there? You think that's just maybe perhaps he didn't really have a question and needed an answer? What do y'all think about that interaction? Let's see. I'll rewind a little bit so you guys can see it again, because I think she's like not paying attention or talking over to the side, and then
Oh, they said that they would release him today. They are.
yeah, she's just doing her job. She's about to go to the right, and he calls her back over.
Actual mileage, and then you have your print and your
Okay? Okay. Oh, are you getting a retire anything on the car? Are you retiring the car or anything? I don't know.
That's a great point, Steve makes here. He said it's not like he walked hundreds of yards in the cold, add to wear gloves, 20 feet of exposure from a heated car to a heated building. That's an excellent point. He was parked directly in front of the building. Directly in front of the building. He's obviously hiding probably some wounds, in my opinion. Again, this guy has pled guilty. He has admitted guilt. He has never said that it was somebody else that did it. He has never said that he's taking the blame or any of these things, and he's had every opportunity to speak to anybody. There's a lot of pro-burgers who would love to speak with him. I'm sure if you reach out to him and say, hey, I know you're innocent, you know what? If he's not responding to you, it's probably because he I think it's probably disrespectful for people to think that, for him to think that, that he's incapable of committing a crime that happened. A lot of these folks think that, they probably think that, we would be buddies, we'd be on the same side. This guy probably looks down upon you in a lot of different ways, especially in the intelligence department, because this guy is, probably thinking that he was smart enough to get away with it. And if it wasn't for the fact that the FBI had to utilize a backdoor rule to get the IGG through so that they can get him, that he probably would have gotten away with this for a lot longer period of time. He's probably right, until at least he got, would have committed another crime, or his DNA would have gotten picked up somewhere along the line, and he would have eventually gotten caught because he left his DNA on the scene. He was going to do it again. Like I said earlier on, you don't go searching for K-bar knives and knife sheaths to replace an item in case somebody comes knocking, before, the heat starts turning up. That search, that need to replace it should be amplified after the bolo, just in case somebody comes knocking, because that's when it's really going to happen, right? Now they have a vehicle description that matches yours, and you don't live very far away. He's going through a bunch of things at his school. It wouldn't be very, I would assume, and rightfully so to a certain extent, probably not to the extent that it should have been, but that WSU and the University of Idaho, or Pullman Police Department and the Moscow Police Department, all four of those, departments would have some sort of communication based on what they were trying to find, and unbeknownst to many of them, they were keeping things together, or, close to the vest. And, I personally think that, in my mind, they may not put it out there, but I think that they may have thought at the beginning or at some point that this person could have been in law enforcement. That's the only reason why I don't think you don't go and talk to other cops. And, there's also the fear of things getting leaked out, also. But given the lack of evidence and the experience that this guy had, they wouldn't have been far off if they would have assumed that this guy had law enforcement experience, because he did. I mean, he was a PhD student in the criminal justice department. And so, I wouldn't be surprised, but he doesn't know that, Bryan Kohberger. He don't know that they're not talking to each other. And so he must think to himself, hey, I'm going through all these problems. I'm going, I'm about to get fired. I've had all these complaints when it comes to females. It must not take, very much for a person of his intelligence, and I put that in quotations, to figure out that, you would expect the law enforcement agencies to talk to each other and, pass along that information. Maybe perhaps that's where a big part of the ball was dropped, in capturing Bryan Kohberger without having to utilize the IGG or any of these other backdoor things that I mentioned. And so, had the chief been more open with WSU, and WSU been more upfront about the vehicles that they had found, even though, and maybe not turned a blind eye to the fact that it was a 2015 instead of a 2011 or 13. Maybe perhaps it wouldn't have had to have come down to the IGG. But, that's where we're at. But good point, Steve. He's not walking in the cold. It'd be one thing if he walked from the cold from his apartment and he walked here because, hey, the vehicle doesn't have license plates or it's not registered. So he's kind of concerned. He's worried. So he's going to walk all the way to the DMV. So that's why he's wearing some winter gloves. Not really the case. Not really the case. So it is a little bit odd for me that he is continually wearing that.
60-day count for the DP placard, or the DP plate. So that's that. Now, I just want to mention, here's the placard.
Now, who you're hearing in the background are the ladies up at the top of the screen. So Bryan Kohberger is pretty quiet at this time, and so is the clerk.
And here is documentation for your mom that she has the placard and the license plate. So that's for you. And again, that way happens when she and the dog.
I have to find a paper
That she uses.
All right, let's see what the lady is that's wearing, or what she's wearing as she enters the building.
So that's for you.
No gloves, a
And again, that way
sweatshirt,
happens
some jeans, and some tennis shoes. I don't see a scarf. I don't see a beanie. I don't see anything that would have indicated that this was a very cold day.
the dog.
I have to find a paper
That she uses.
The name affidavit.
Now I got it. This goes
Hey, Molly,
to-
where's that name affidavit for Elena? On your desk?
On my desk. Oh, yep.
On her desk.
I'm sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, if she's in another car without that, she can, and this is good for any car she's in.
What color's the vehicle?
White.
Yeah. What? Okay, thank you. That's it? Yep. Oh, receipt. Okay.
And do you happen to know the
And then on the
trip
back,
do you know if it's the limited,
Yeah,
the
these
SE,
are all
or
mine
the
right
sport?
here. All right, thank you. Have a good day. Thank you, Andy. Nice to meet you. Bye.
I wish it was.
Was that the better package?
Thanks, Donna. Yeah. Thanks, Donna.
Yeah. Do they not have that one?
I couldn't find it.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's been like a huge shortage on new cars. It's hard to find cars right now. I've known a couple people that have like ordered the car they wanted and had to wait a year.
So this is his attempt, I guess, of flirting. She goes, "Is this the sport model?" And he goes, "I wish." And he's like, "Oh, is that like the better?" She goes, "Is that a better package?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he kind of shakes his head, nods. And then she's like, "Did they just not have it?" And he's like, "Oh, I couldn't find it." And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, this guy lying through his teeth. He didn't go looking for a Hyundai Sport and settle on an SE, Hyundai Launch Sport. I mean, come on now, man. It's just it's a weird thing that I picked up. It doesn't mean don't say anything nefarious or anything like that. But yeah, to me, I don't know. I thought that was funny.
For it to be delivered because they just didn't have it until a year later.
Yeah, the sports versions.
Yeah, those are the most popular. They go so fast.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you a Giants fan?
I am. I'm from the Bay Area.
From the Bay Area?
Yeah.
I'm actually from the East Coast, I'm a Yankees fan.
Oh, okay.
I'm hoping you guys don't get judged.
I'm hoping we do. I mean, I'm feeling good. You know, the Niners are playing in McCaffrey. I think the Giants are playing good. And President of Operations, he's already talking like, we got money to spend.
Yeah.
There's no limit. So that puts us to gives us a little bit of an edge. But I mean, the Yankees also usually don't have much problem spending money either. So
That's the thing. The judge wants to go back to California, but it's just a rumor.
yeah. You know, you never know. Some people want to just be lifers on a team, which I totally respect. I mean, I love that Funke Posey was a Giant from start to finish. You know, I respect those players way more.
Did you want a copy of
But
your
it's always nice sometimes when you can bring in that superstar from another team.
Oh, definitely. That judge is obviously a very good player. I mean,
Yeah.
fans of baseball in general appreciate Judge.
Yeah. He's like Mike Trout or Bryce
Yeah.
Harper. You know, he's just one of those players that, even if he doesn't play for your team, you know how good they are.
You have respect to him,
Yeah.
And just
What's your phone number for you?
So now they're going to, I guess, redact his information.
So you're from New York. How you liking it over here?
I'm actually from Pennsylvania.
Oh, you're from Pennsylvania. Oh, yes. And then you were
Yeah, my family's from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Oh, okay. So that's how you, yeah.
That's why I brought it off. Otherwise, you think I'd be really fan.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, growing up in the Bay Area, my grandma and my dad were huge Giants fans, so it was just falling in the family line.
Yeah.
So you bought this?
You're not from
Or are you?
I am originally from the Bay Area, yeah.
Yeah.
You're Andrew, okay. Okay.
But I like living up here much better than in California. I don't think that.
Yeah.
So he's crossing his arms, just kind of, I guess this is an attempt to flirt.
You happen to have the purchase order from when you bought it?
It's definitely a big difference.
Yeah, huge difference, right?
Because when
I really like it. I like how it's small and quiet, and I would say safe, but the whole Moscow thing kind of makes it feel a little less safe right now.
And how much sales have to pay for it, otherwise.
And it's still a good mailing address?
Well, in any case, I do need that.
I do wish it wasn't so cold. Like, oh my gosh. But I'm sure you're used to that because it's pretty cold Pennsylvania, right?
It's very cold today. Yeah. It gets cold
So,
Okay.
So that's the other interesting thing. So he talks about how much colder it is in Pennsylvania, and it's cool there. It's a different, I'm assuming it's a different cold, right? So I've been to Pennsylvania a few times, and I'll tell you that the moisture in the air, really, the moisture in the air is what makes it really bad out there. A dry cold, which I am assuming is probably more consistent with Idaho from what I've read. I've never been out there, so I don't know. It's going to be, it's not going to feel as cold. So I've been in Colorado where it's a little bit drier, and it feels pretty nice out compared to where, like in Pittsburgh, where it can be colder in Colorado. And then in Pittsburgh, the wind just hits you and it just stings. And so you would assume a guy that was acclimated to that type of environment, to the cold that way, wouldn't be, bundled up to the T, covering his neck and arms and hands, from being inside and having to walk a brutal 6 feet into in the sunny day to get from his car to inside of the DMV. Interesting.
if you can, by word of so if you can find any information showing how much paperwork, you might even have to call the New York DMV and get.
So this is the colder one. Yeah.
Something that they require.
Yeah, and it does sound like we're going to get a pretty heavy winter, so there's going to be lots of snow.
Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Going back to hopefully.
And then just so you know, when we do that,
the worst time.
the title will be.
So he's talking about going back home and that he's choosing the worst time. Let me rewind that. It's kind of hard to hear. I want to hear if he mentions how he wants to go back home.
Yeah, and it does sound like we're gonna get like a pretty heavy winter, so there should be lots of snow.
Unfortunately, I'm
Should be
sorry.
going back to, hopefully.
And then just so you know, when we do that,
The worst time.
the title.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I've been away visiting family during like Christmas and all that. And the snow is like this high up their back door, and I'm like, ooh,
Sorry about
I don't miss it.
Yeah, it won't be much better in the
I think he was actually talking about the snow back home, because he said back home today. Home today. So I don't think he was going back home today. I think he was talking about the weather back home today and it being a pretty bad day. I wonder what the weather was like. And where's he from? Gosh, what was the name of his of the place? Albertsville. Let's see. What was the weather like on November 17th, 2022 in Albrightsville, PA. Let's see what it was like. Okay. I wish the what happened to AI just kind of telling me what it is. Let's see. Wasn't that bad. High of 45, low of 29. All right, what about November 18th? Did it freeze overnight? Let's see if we can give him the benefit of the doubt on that. Because this was November 18th, so let's see. Let's see. It's about to pop up, and it was breezy, 44 degrees, dropped to around 29. I don't know what he's saying. He's a pathological liar. And I think that most people probably wouldn't be surprised by that, to find out that he lies about everything.
I've been away visiting family during like Christmas and all that. What you're missing, and the snow is like this high up their back door, and I'm like, ooh, I don't miss it.
Yeah, it won't be much better in the
Yeah. It's nice to be away for that. Well, so, let me give you that back. And then for license plates, did you want to do the standard background license plate, or do you want to do one of the specialty backgrounds? They're like, we do have a poster with some of the pictures and stuff on there. They're like a wildlife inclusion plate.
Okay.
I have
The one that's there.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you.
See, a lot of people have like the WSC.
Yeah, it's actually the -- specialty background plate in the state.
Yeah.
Which, bragging rights for the Cougs.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to the university here?
Yeah, PhD.
Nope. Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's definitely not an undergrad.
You would like to release your liability?
Kind of an interesting thing in certain ways. It's a water.
Did you give the title? It's the person
When I came from Pennsylvania, I went to a very
Did you sign the title?
So it's completely different.
So that
Because this is like
your release is
like
big, yeah.
Now, if you want to do a recorded sale, you can
That
come
is
in
really
here.
impressive. I always knew it was like a really big university, but it's surprising to hear that many people in class. Wow. But I do hear good things, they got good programs and stuff, so,
Yeah, so you do have good programs, but also.
yeah. So are you planning on sticking around Pullman for a little while, or just doing the program and then see where life takes you?
I do like Pullman,
Okay.
but I'm not
So,
entirely certain.
is the vehicle you got
So, it just depends if I can get a job.
Yeah,
I may have to go pretty much anywhere.
Hi there.
and where the call is coming, yeah.
Oh, see, that's dangerous. That would have been dangerous. I don't know if you guys caught that. He says he likes Pullman, but he wants to go around and depends on where the job takes him, stuff like that, where he can find a job, that he may have to go from place to place. Interesting, because that's kind of like a serial offender's dream, right? That's kind of what they want to do, in my opinion. Let's see real quick. All right, let me rewind that. Maybe I heard that wrong. Let's re-listen to that.
Things, you know, they got good programs and stuff, so.
Yeah, they do have good programs, but also.
Yeah. So are you planning on sticking around Pullman for a little while, or just doing the program and then see where life takes you?
I do like Pullman,
Okay.
but I'm not.
So,
entirely
is the vehicle what you got changed?
It just depends if I can get a job.
Yeah.
I may have to go pretty much anywhere.
Hi there.
And where the call is coming. Yeah.
Yeah, I may pretty much have to go anywhere. That's what he wants. Yeah, I would assume so. True psychopath monsters are less than a week committed 4 homicides, able to converse and get a new tag, talk of family, sports with no signs of paranoia. Oh, that's a great point.
Washington State.
It is really nice, and there's something about living in the Pacific Northwest. Like, I love all the nature. There's something really big on camping and hiking and stuff, and there's just so many pretty parks and places to go for that year, which I really like. So that's why I stuck around. I'm like, I can't leave. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, same here. I like all that stuff. I do a bit more hiking than camping.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up necessarily going camping.
Either come in and do that,
Yeah.
go on and find it.
Yeah. It can be a bit intimidating, but just even the day hikes are really nice. I like going to Elk River over in Idaho. They have the falls. It's like a couple mile hike, but like when you get to the upper, middle, and lower falls, so it's like really pretty.
Elk River.
Super fun. Yeah.
I've heard of that actually.
Yeah, Elk River, Idaho. And they've got like a reservoir there in town and that you can hike around. It's just like there's just so many little areas in that one area, like place alone. And then we also go up like Coeur d'Alene has a lot of beautiful hiking areas.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking for a place, I suggest those areas because they're super fun.
Yeah. I actually like it. I just like more, it has regional green, right? So I know like Spokane is a little bit more green.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not green here, it's just.
It's just wheat fields. We're just like, it's like there's so many trees around us that you get here. And the day hikes are really nice. I like going up.
I'm gonna rewind that because look at his body language when they start talking about some of the other places. You know, there is a see right here, he's kind of more relaxed, kind of leaning over, which you could see the bottom one here. Then he kind of tightens up a little bit when she starts mentioning some spots to go hiking. I'm just curious, you know, there is a missing, there's a missing knife and knife sheath and probably a kill kit somewhere out there. Watch his demeanor when she starts bringing up places. I just kind of caught that out of my corner of eye. I don't know if I caught it right, so maybe I'm wrong. You guys tell me, but it seemed like he was kind of more tight about it. Let's see.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up.
He talks about camping and hiking, some of the things. I think this is his go-to to try to get somebody to go out with him. And the crazy thing about it is, in my opinion, I mean, a dangerous guy trying to get somebody alone with him in the woods is pretty scary.
You can either come in and do that,
Yeah.
go on and find it.
Yeah. It can be a bit intimidating, but just even the day hikes are really nice. I like going to Elk River over in Idaho. They have the falls. It's like a couple mile hike, but like when you get to the upper, middle, and lower falls, so it's like really pretty.
Elk River.
Super fun. Yeah.
I've heard of that actually.
Yeah, Elk River, Idaho. And they've got like a reservoir there in town and that you can hike around. It's just like there's just so many little areas in that one area, like place alone. And then we also go up like Coeur d'Alene has a lot of beautiful hiking areas.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking for a place, I suggest those areas because they're super fun.
It says interesting to Coeur d'Alene. Doesn't really comment more about it. Doesn't ask more about it. Like, you know, you would assume somebody would have been like, especially how interested they were in the topic, would have been like, oh, tell me more about Coeur d'Alene. I've never heard of this place. Interesting is what he says. And again, his demeanor, he's closed up. He's together. Now, Coeur d'Alene is where Maddie and Kaylee were from.
Upper, middle, and lower falls, so it's like really pretty.
Elk River.
Super fun. Yeah.
I've heard of that actually.
Yeah, Elk River, Idaho. And they've got like a reservoir there in town and that you can hike around. It's just like there's just so many little areas in that one area, like place alone. And then we also go up like Coeur d'Alene has a lot of beautiful hiking areas.
Interesting.
Yeah. So if you're ever looking for a place, I suggest those areas because they're super fun.
Yeah. I actually like it. I just like more, it has regional green, right? So I know like Spokane is a little bit more green.
Yeah.
It's not that it's not green here,
It's just wheat fields. We're just like, it's like there's so many trees around us, and then it gets here, and it's like this weird wheat oasis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just hills and wheat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Likes green. You know, I remember I think it was the shovel had like traces of like certain plants that were in certain areas. And, you know, I think you can narrow it down based on some of the things that he's saying, some places he likes. You know, is it going to be a place that he's visited often? I would say yes and no. You know, I wouldn't think, but then again, I don't know. I mean, some of these psycho weirdos, they super narcissistic, don't think anybody's going to catch them. You know, I think that, you know, I was like, maybe it's a place where he hid his stuff is like somewhere he hasn't been because, you know, if they find him, they're going to trace him back to him. But I don't think he ever thought they were going to find him, you know? And so I don't think he planned it to that point. Not at all. I want to say thank you and welcome to Rachel 508 for being the newest member. And then J355 being a member for a whole month. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys rock. All right, let's continue.
That's 92 days.
So your grand total today for everything is $274.25. And that's for plate, your registration, and the title transfer fee.
Okay, for sure.
Do you want to do cash, check, or card?
I'll do a card.
Card, okay, there is a fee for card, just to fair warn you. The bank has to put their fee on there, you know.
What is it, like 2%?
For debit, it's actually just $2.25. Yeah, so it's a flat fee, but credit is a 3%.
Yeah, well, I don't know what the transfer.
So
Living in about 3 places until I get a house built, and then I'm gonna get moved down to Idaho.
$92 for the title transfer fee.
Yeah.
So you're looking at $689.25.
Says that if I transferred it in a certain time period, I would have to pay more or something. How much
You know,
is the
if-
credit card fee?
Did you come closer to April? That's what it was. I like your photo. Thank you. Okay. She is, but I think.
Man, I wish all this talking in the background wasn't there. He's talking about he came. I thought he wasn't there in April. Did she say, did you come in April? And he said, yeah. This is where the seed of hiking and the alibi was planted. Very well could be. Very well could be.
3 places until I get a house built, and then I'm gonna get moved down to Idaho.
$92 for the title transfer fee.
Yeah.
So you're looking at $689.25.
Says that if I transferred it in a certain time period, I would have to pay more or something. How much
You know,
is the
if-
credit card fee?
Did you come closer to April? That's what it was. I like your photo. Thank you. Okay.
Interesting. He had came there close to April and spoke to somebody about transferring his title then. Decided to wait all the way until after the murders to do it, though. Interesting. I didn't know. But you know, one of the other things, though, is everybody asks a bunch of questions about when did he come in contact with, you know, the victims and stuff like that. I know that the day of the pool party that he had was the first time he drove out there. But, you know, a lot of people had a concern if he was out there in April. I know there was an email out there that he had met with the chief, with Chief Jenkins, you know, virtually. And, you know, maybe perhaps, and they also said they didn't have anything scheduled for him. Maybe he decided to just go across country one day or whatever the case may be for a weekend that we don't know about. But it sounds like he had been there in April. That's what he says. Now, in April is when he also purchased the K-bar knife. Huh. Interesting.
Says that If I transferred it in a certain time period, I would have to pay more or something. And how much
You know,
is the credit card fee?
Did you come closer to April? Oh, that's what it was.
I like your coat.
Thank you. Oh, okay.
She is, but I think she might be out partying with
Yeah, so, oh, go ahead and,
I think she's partying with all
they have a really short window, so they can hang out.
Good job, doctor. Okay, you can either go here or Sylvia's car.
No, nothing. Oh, you're fine.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead and shove in her.
It's it.
So, should be ready now. Super busy today.
You have it, Disney?
I haven't even opened my drawer yet.
Oh.
Doing hockey.
Okay. So,
Time out.
Oh, yeah, it's got a real short. So,
she might be.
all right. So the deal with that was the date on the title. So you came within less than 90 days from the print date. So it looks like you just bought it. And Washington State's weird because we're surrounded by non-sales tax states, and people were like going like way back in the day. They were going to buy their cars in Oregon, not paying sales tax, and then coming registered here to avoid ever paying sales tax. So Washington made this rule like you can't really own it for at least 90 days if you're paying sales tax on fair market value, which on a 2015 Hyundai is pretty common. So yeah.
That's what I was saying. I ended up doing nothing. I had like 5 days or something.
Oh no, that's totally okay. Hey, as long as you don't get a ticket or have expired registration, then you know.
That's what I was saying, like, a lot of people go, why didn't you get it done?
No, it happens. Do you want a copy of your receipt?
One of the weird people who
I'm the same way. I get made fun of all the time. I'm like, why would you not like that? I'm like, I'm not going to trust them to remember that I paid for something. You know, I can't see if I work, but I am old school, so. It's safer. It feels better to have it like a tangible something to hold that shows, hey, I don't care this.
You know, if you want to pay that optional $5 donation. Okay.
And there's so many voices going on. I'm picking out what they're saying. You know, he's concerned about, you know, getting pulled over and things of that nature. Maybe perhaps he's really concerned about getting pulled over at this time because it's only been a week since the murders have occurred. And maybe he's not too comfortable with his cleaning job that he's done at this point. And so he doesn't want to get pulled over. He wants to make sure that he's not getting pulled over.
It's going to be
Totally different, yeah. I'm actually 37 now, so yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And it's just like, I feel so much older than that age group.
No, exactly. Just everything is so different. You grow up with so many distractions.
Yeah. I can put my phone down and not look at it for like hours.
Yeah, we have that part of our brain activated.
I got 3 of these, and I gave one to Shona. So I have 2 of them all before. Have you seen it? Yeah. So I don't have a nail to you. Yeah. Yeah. So she's the one that All right.
You think that's weird that he's saying, you know, I could put my phone down and, you know, we could put our, you know, have the ability to shut that part of our brain down, yada, 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 is a way of him trying to show that he's above other people to a certain extent. I just kind of got that feeling, you know. You let me know, guys.
Okay. Now, just so you know, the crews don't like the freezing weather, so you do want to make sure it's above freezing before you come
He's throwing out paperwork with the gloves on.
The one that you're going to turn the glove off.
So I think she didn't know about it. I got it. Or I'll talk about that. Yeah. Oh, well, she's out there. I'll just get it all tied up for her. All right, I'll be right back. I'm so excited to see how these do. I think it's a good one for you. Yeah, me too. It will be. People, they're on. Yeah, they're awesome. So it's all shrink wrapped and I'll probably have to unwrap them. Oh, honey, they're yours. I just want to keep them nice and I just really
all right. New title coming in the mail in about 4 weeks, so keep an eye out for that. If it's any time you still haven't seen it, just let us know because we can reissue it. Okay? Make sure the ones with stickers on the back of the rig and the ones without go on the front.
And I will.
And these do belong to you now, so if you ever sell or trade the vehicle, you get to the like. Yeah.
Why? Why is it just state votes like in front?
Washington is just peculiar. I don't know. We're like one of the like only states that require both. And
I was wondering why exactly.
I believe, this is what I've just heard, and I've like never actually like confirmed it or anything, but like there's a lot of toll bridges over on the west side.
Okay.
And like when people run toll bridges, like usually the cameras only get a shot of part of the car. So I think they need to front place that so that they could catch who was running the toll.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's more like it stems from the west side being, terrible people.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
They do the same thing, but that's
Right.
the same logic.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so we're just stuck dealing with it because on the other side of the state, they want it to be easier on themselves.
Yeah, makes
But,
sense.
yeah, I do know that they sell mounting brackets at like most of the auto parts stores, if you need to get one. And then I have seen a lot of people that just put the front one on the dashboard, like maybe now. I don't know the legalities of that, but it seems like people do it and get away with it very frequently. So yeah, it's kind of one of those, like, it's hard to say if it's actually legal or not.
That's bad.
Yeah. But other than that, you're all set and good to go, and those plates are yours. And
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, and do you have Pennsylvania plates on the vehicle?
Yeah.
You should double check with Pennsylvania. They might be states that require you to send them back, or they charge you a little card.
I don't believe that they do because I
Until she gets that card, just goes, oh, okay, then yeah, you should be good. I would check a lot of the East Coast states do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely look into that. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Have a
absolutely.
good one.
Yeah, you too. Have a great weekend.
I couldn't seal the deal, didn't ask for the number. Now he's walking out. Let's see when he takes the gloves off.
Stop kicking people in their pants, Molly. Not nice.
Now I didn't hear anything about the murders. I'll have to go through it again. But I thought there was something that indicated something about, isn't it horrific? I didn't hear that. Did you guys hear that? For those that have, been here, let me know. Let's see. She's hitting on him. Yeah. She's not creeped out. No, I mean, a lot of people weren't creeped out about like Ted Bundy. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, ended up getting married. Like, not saying that she's one of those that is falling for a serial offender and that's why she falls for him. But that, certain people, just because they're crazy and creepy at all this stuff doesn't mean that they can't mask it, especially for a short period of time. Especially a guy like Bryan Kohberger, who is well understood himself. If you go back to when he was younger in the Tappa Talk. Now let's see. He's walking up. I guess his hand does not look like it's in the glove. Is he putting his glove on after the fact? Let's see. I'm rewinding that because I saw that in the comment section to go back because folks are saying that it appears he puts his gloves as he's entering in the building. Certainly does look like he could be doing that. It looks like his hands are bare at certain points. Looks like the top part of his hand is bare there. Yeah, it looks like his hands are bare. Let's see. So he's walking up. Door opens after a minute from being creepily sitting there, just watching. Yeah, it definitely does look like he's putting on his gloves as he's walking in, or at least one of them. His right hand may have already been gloved, but that's interesting. Yeah, it looks like he's definitely has his left hand, the thumb is exposed as he's walking up. It looks like he's putting them on right there, but it is difficult to tell. But right here, it does appear that the thumb it really don't make sense why he would be putting on his gloves after the fact once he gets into a warm place. Kind of weird. What do you guys think? I think it's weird. All right, well, I'll be doing this for the next 5 minutes or so. Put in a couple of stars. That way I know you're talking to me, and I'll answer some of your questions. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Tomorrow I'll be back on, and I'm going to be talking about the Nancy Guthrie case a little bit more in depth. Some of the information that has popped out today about the case that kind of clear up maybe some things, maybe some other things not so much. I am working and also working with Steve from True Crime Web, former CSI investigator. He's doing a couple experiments to kind of show that the drops of blood in the Nancy Guthrie case, are they just, drops that are standing from somebody standing there? Or is it a mist? Is it, somebody coughing or sneezing? One of those things. He's doing a test. We're going to find out the results of that here pretty soon, and we're going to break that on the channel. I don't know what the results are now. They very well could show up that those little dots are drippage, I guess. But I doubt it. He doubts it. So we'll see what the evidence says, and we'll put it in there. For you guys to watch. He's putting them on walking in. Just watch 5 times. Yeah, it does look like that's the case, that he's putting them on as he's walking in. I've been playing it back and forth too, and it does look that way. It does appear. I'm not buying that he's a germaphobe. Either he wears gloves all the time. None of WSU people interviewed by Ellie say that he was always wearing gloves. Steve goes, I can attest to having been in serious fights. His gait 5 days later may have been to his exertion and the fights that night. Interesting. That's an interesting point. I wondered about the gait, but I mean, I've seen him walk like that in court. Now, could that have been because he's, shackled? Maybe his legs are shackled. I don't know, or just because he's been shackled. But he kind of walked that way in court too. I don't know. If he's moving with a purpose, maybe that'll straighten up his gait. I wonder if speed changes things. If your leg typically kicks out to the right, does it always kick out to the right, even if you're moving with a purpose and moving with speed? I think that would probably be the one thing I'd wonder is if he starts moving quickly, does that straighten out his gait, so to speak? Let's see. All righty. Let's see. Bunch of cackling. I think he doesn't want to leave fingerprints at the DMV. I think that's possible. If I had to take a guess, more so than anything else, is I think he probably has injuries to his hands. Maybe his hands are swollen still. And I don't think he wants her to see, the damage to his hands, especially given the fact that right now people are on the edge because of a quadruple homicide having occurred not too far away, just less than a week before. Some guy walking in with a bunch of, with a swollen hand and things of that nature may be suspicious. He was walking different the morning after the crime. He sprained his back in the attack. Oh, that's interesting. Could he have had an injury, and could that have been why he is walking the way he is now? That's good. That's a good point. That's a good possibility. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised moving in the manner that he did, having to, when you commit a crime and you can work out, you can do a bunch of stuff, but like when you get into a fight or you get into a situation of fight or flight and you're wailing around and you're using muscles you normally typically use or work out, you're going to be sore. You're going to have micro tears and things of that nature. Very well could be a sign of him being, dealing with the soreness from the attack, even if he was, somewhat in shape. Most friendly DMV I've ever seen. Yeah, definitely was. Well, all righty, guys. I want to say thank you to everybody for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow night. I'll be talking about the Nancy Guthrie case unless something else breaks in some other case. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that notification bell. I appreciate everybody being here. Share the content. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace out, everybody. Bye.